Hey everybody. Okay, so we're about to go to another appointment with my dad. Operation People First, #1 team member Opie of Find Richard Halliday. So we want to go to another physical therapy session with him, get him out, get him talking to people. A lot of strange things have been happening because of the medication, the attack that he was under that wiped out his muscles. I mean, his muscles were like almost liquidy. They were like, the doctors were like, okay, just send him to a hospice. Take him off all medication, send him to a hospice. So he had a little bit of his left arm. His face was never affected, so he could always talk to us. And so today is day 288 days since Richard went missing. And of course, life happens. You never expect that your volunteer son, who is stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas, during a national, worldwide emergency, being locked down, everybody is controlled, everybody is kept in check, would go missing under the noses of his unit, under the noses of the command right there. Now the new commander of Fort Bliss was not the commander at the time. Okay, I want to make that very clear. But the commander right now has a chance to really make a difference, because Richard is the very first soldier to undergo the scrutiny of the brand new, because of what happened at Fort Hood with Vanessa Guillen being the main victim, the highlighted victim because of the atrociousness of that murder. And then not only the murder, but the abuse beforehand. Y'all, abused beforehand by someone that was not her murderer. Who was her murderer? I don't know. I guess it was this guy. I don't know. But we know that besides the guy that cut her up and everything, besides that person, she was abused beforehand. So, and the Army has this presupposition. If they would not have let Texas EquiSearch get involved, then they would never have found her body, and they would be in the clear. It would all be covered up. I don't know if that's their presupposition, but that's kind of how I feel right now, because, and I'm allowed to feel when you have Darth Vader allowed to feel, that I'm allowed to feel. And Richard is the #1, the very first to go through what came out of that debauched sin, the debauched evil, the darkest night where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. Weeping and gnashing of teeth in the darkest night. And so they might feel like if they wouldn't have gotten Texas EquiSearch involved, they would have never found Vanessa. But that's wrong, because we've talked to them. And there were wild animals digging around the concrete because they could smell her. The wild animals were fighting against Sisera. The stars in their course fight against Sisera. Do you understand that? There's no chance when you side with Sisera. There's no chance when you side with evil. Because all of God's creation moans and groans and fights against evil. And all things work together for good of those who love the Lord, you see? And so whether they would have brought the Texas Equus search in or not, God would have revealed this great evil. And therefore, the military was forced. It wasn't Operation People First and the good-heartedness of their esprit de corps and their faith, hope, and love. It wasn't that in the U.S. Army. No, because that's not the culture right now in the Army. It's a foreign ideology that has spread. It's like a snake bite. It's like a spider bite. It's like venom that has gone through the veins of the U.S. Army. And that's why we've asked for immunity, an antidote, okay, for this very toxic culture. Because Richard is the very first to go through the forced solution of that terrible venom that spread through Fort Hood. And it is a venom. It's a Darth Vader type of foreign ideology. It's of the darkness. It's not of the light of Jesus. So, you would think that that Richard would get some press coverage, way more national press coverage I'm talking about, not just Nancy Grace. But Nancy Grace said that she would call again. She never called again. Because she knows. She knows she would risk the deal that the media has with the devil, with the venom, if she would continue airing what she knows about Richard. I'm just saying, because this is a big story. Richard is the first one to undergo the scrutiny after what happened at Fort Hood with Vanessa Guillen. And Vanessa Guillen's story is big. So why not say, and the consequences thereof, of their neglect, was a new system. And this is the new soldier that's going through this system. And he has been designated, officially designated, the very first CONUS U.S. Army missing soldier in that system. Yeah. But we have Darth Vader saying, I believe it would be disingenuous of me to pretend to support a cause I do not feel. So today was very interesting this morning. Let me see if I can go there, and because I did post it. And it was a newspaper article that Rob showed me this morning and said, you need to post this. You need to post this. And of course I did. Of course I did. Because he had a major point. And so here it is. I don't know if any of you have any knowledge of this man, Victor Davis Hanson. He's very interesting. I would definitely try to read what he writes. He's very interesting. But this little paragraph, Rob, read that. Read that. After costly strategic stagnation in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya, our military is now turning on its own. Some of the politicized top brass seem more worried about the politics of their own soldiers than the dangers of foreign militaries. I need to read that again. It's terrible when you have bad eyes. After costly strategic stagnation in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya, our military is now turning on its own. Some of the politicized top brass seem more worried about the politics of their own soldiers than the dangers of foreign militaries. And I would say that it's not just the top brass. It's not just the top brass. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that's why this trashy germ theory, very trashy germ theory, it's so trashy. Can you imagine? I look at people like they're contagions. They can be totally healthy. Young soldiers in the desert, and I look at them as contagions because maybe they underwent some kind of machine that can be dialed, and a banana can test positive and a papaya can test positive, and maybe this human soldier, this young, beautiful, no symptoms, none, strong, now has to be imprisoned for 2 weeks, 5 days, 2 weeks, put in prison. Yes. And if they break it, I mean, my own grandchildren are in prison right now because they went back to South Korea and they have to be in prison for 2 weeks. Totally healthy. It's insanity. Insanity. And we have our brass doing that to our volunteer sons and daughters that went into the military to defend the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights. And what did they do to Richard? Because he made the wrong turn. You know, I want to talk about Richard's driving just a little bit because people don't understand our family totally. Richard did not grow up in the United States. Richard never went to high school. Richard did not go to school. Richard was homeschooled. Richard clubbed out of college math at the age of 15. Got 6 college credits for that one. Yep, 6 college credits for that one at the age of 15. Okay? I'm just telling you how it is. It's not that hard, y'all. It's not like he was some brain power. It's just that our education system is just that bad. And all of the parents clamoring to send their children back to school, it's a little bit strange because it's just that bad. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to be given arrows. Arrows are going to be shot at me for that. But I just want to let you know that it's not because Richard was just that smart. Okay? So, he was not allowed to drive. Now, our farmer cousin, they have a son also named Richard, and he was like, I'm talking about 6 or 7 years old, driving the car down the lane. I am not joking. That's just the way farmers are. Okay? I mean, very young, 10, 12. Rhoda, please tell me. Please correct me how old Richard was, your Richard, when he started driving the digger and the tractor and the baler and everything. It just amazing. Amazing. I loved it. I loved it because I love to break the norm. The norm. Because people can do amazing things. And we are pressed down all the time. All the time. With subsidies, they press us down. With all their government promises, they act like they're going to lift us up, but they're not. They're pressing us down. They're pressing us down. This is a political statement. I know. But after reading that, I have to make it known. And so Richard, because of the music lessons and going back and forth to Germany and all the traveling and all the studying and the books and the economics and the karate and all the things we were doing, we're not farmers, so he didn't drive. He didn't have a phone, okay? He had a computer, but he didn't have a phone. I never censored them. I said they have to censor themselves. You have to self-govern yourself. You're going to see some things on the computer. You have to click through it. You have to learn how to click through it. You have to learn how to discern yourself. You have to turn off that TV. You have to turn off that TV. We didn't even have TV. Okay, as far as like channels and things like this. All right, we didn't. I gave them up. When we would go over to our cousins, we would watch some garden shows, things that I liked. You know, I would do, you know. But at home, we didn't, because there's so many other things to life. And that is just, it diverts you. It diverts your attention. So we did all these things, but he did not learn how to drive, y'all. And in Europe, you cannot drive until, or take your driver's test and all that until you're 18. Okay? 17, you can take maybe the written. 18, you start, and you have to go through this long process. It's very expensive, because you have to take all these lessons, and we have 4 children. So he was the youngest, you know, and then you have Hannah driving and Allison driving and Robert learning how to drive. And we were in Ireland. Ireland drives on the opposite side. The opposite side. So he's 18 years old, just learning a little bit. Then we had stick shift. We don't have automatic cars. Stick shift. Stick shift. That's where he learned on, right? He joined the army at 18. So how long did he get in a little bit of lessons? Not too long. And he joined from Korea. So when he joined from Korea, he went to basic training, he went to AIT, then he was deployed to Qatar for over 9 months, 10 months maybe. So then he came back. That's when he bought this used car. Smart guy, used car, right? And what happened? He made the wrong turn. He got into a traffic pattern. I told the construction foreman, I said, Richard is our worst driver, because he didn't have the practice. He didn't have the practice. So he is 20 years old, and he's in El Paso, a city of 1 million. That's a little bit different than Longford, 7,000, 8,000, out in the country. You know what I mean? It's a little different, y'all. And they have no mercy. Slammed them. Because they did not have Operation People First. They don't know this stuff. They don't know because they didn't get to take the time to get to know their soldiers. Oh, who is this guy that says he's from Longford, Ireland? Who is this guy that's #1 in basic training, #1 in AIT, 300 plus? Who is this guy that put all his money into Bitcoin? Not all his money, but a big hunk of it. Who is this guy? And I'm going to tell you another thing. I know he had a stash of cash somewhere. I know he did. I know he had a stash of cash somewhere. I'm just saying. I know he did. So did he walk away? I don't know. That has always been my hope. But 288 days. 288 days. Nothing. And then I was talking to a friend yesterday. Very interesting how they did not really talk to Darth Vader. They did not really talk to old mommies and daddies have, you know, no reason to respond because everything they say is manure for sergeant. Should I call him manure for sergeant? I don't know. Yeah. You got the wife for sergeant, the witch wife for sergeant, and then the manure. Mommies and daddies speak manure. They don't need to respond for sergeant. I mean, can you believe this? We have Darth Vader. Mommies and daddies don't need to respond because they speak manure for sergeant. And then we have the wife witch for sergeant. Not me. I'm not saying it. That's how she labels herself. That's not me. Then you have the loose lips lieutenant colonel. Then you have the shaky PAO. Then you have in tears, captain, in tears, on the verge of tears, captain. And I can go on and on and on and on. Something's not right, y'all. Something hasn't been right from the very beginning. They need to rescind that very systematic destruction of my son called a field grade Article 15. They weaponized one of their tools against Richard. They weaponized it. And you know why they weaponized it? Because Darth Vader was convinced. And whose ear did he have? He was convinced that Richard had gotten his rifle illegally. Well, then why did Rob get that rifle that has never been fired from the Army legally and sent it to Florida legally? Praise God for that video. Praise God. And then they had to turn, because they know that we have a witness written down saying that Richard physically never crossed the border. We have several. But they maintain that. But they have time-stamped photos that prove that he could have never done it. There wasn't enough time for that U-turn. There wasn't enough time. He could never have done it in 19 minutes. So it stands, our written testimony, that Richard physically never crossed the border. That's why, I wish I could say everything. So then they had to go and really, really, really make that drinking underage, that underage drinking, that the counseling slip says 0.04, that I say is not punitive. They have to go wild and give me a big old folder and say, it is, ma'am. And I'm looking at them because they are so insane. So insane. It's a soup sandwich. And they have no idea that they are breaking their duty to protect the Constitution and our Bill of Rights, with going crazy, trying to cover the inadequacy and the insanity of the command of the unit and how they treated Richard in full battle rattle and restricting his breathing and saying that they care for every soldier. Ma'am, we care for every soldier. That's why the suicide went way up. The suicide attempts went way up. Because you care about every soldier. How are you going to recover from this? I had a really good book reading this morning. Our meditation this morning. That Jesus being the great general. God being the great general. Because remember, Jesus is very man of very man and very God of very God. He is the great general. The great I am. And when we follow him, there is no worries. Even when things do not go the way we think it should go, there are no worries, because the stars in their course fight against Sisera. The very animals, the very nature, the very trees fight against Sisera. And we might not see the great picture, but we can rejoice in knowing that he is victorious. We're on the right side. So I'm just asking the command to get on the right side, to get under the general of Jesus Christ. instead of high brass that care more about the politics of their soldiers than about foreign enemies. So says Victor Davis Hanson. Yeah. Wowzer. So the silence is breaking. Wow. You know what's coming up? Mother's Day. Mother's Day is coming up. Mommies. So what is the Army going to do for mommies? I hope they do for me. They find Richard. I hope for a mommy such as me, they find our missing soldiers. They do Operation People First and Esprit de Corps, and that they put out a report, put out a press release, that mommies and daddies do have sway, that mommies and daddies are important. Even Death Vader left Rob off of the letter. It was addressed only to me. What is Rob, just chopped meat? Is he nothing? Is he not human? Are daddies not important? Daddies are very important. They are very important because they bear the weight. They bear the weight of the responsibility of family. And they are really, really judged for that under God. And that's why women are asked to support them, to save the day when they go astray, to love our husbands and cherish them, because their responsibility is so great as heads of the family. I'm so glad I don't have that kind of responsibility in front of God. So daddies are very important. And a lot of daddies don't even know what they're up for, because they're not even told how important they are, how valued they are, the power that God has given them. And women are not really aware of the responsibility that men have. And they tend to degrade the men instead of help them do their duty. Help them do their duty. And it's gotten so confused and so mixed up and so bitter. And that's why I'm involved in Trace Diaz, because it brings men and women back together. So if you haven't had a chance to go to a weekend like that, we have to bring the family back together. We have to bring men and women back together, marriages back together, our duties, individual duties back together. The duty of the mommy, the duty of the daddy, the duty of the general, the duty of the command, the duty of the soldier, the duty of the banker, the duty of the politician. The duties are very, very important. And we've lost our way. And everything is one big soup sandwich because people aren't doing their duties. They care more for the politics of their soldiers than of foreign enemies. So with leaders like that, why do we need enemies? Why do we need enemies? So the silence is breaking, the silence is breaking, the silence is breaking, the silence is breaking, the silence is breaking. Praise God. Praise God. Because in God's time, we will find Richard. And we will know what happened to Richard, because we already know inch by inch, day by day, the silence is breaking. And we are finding out more and more information that what was behind that Article 15 was a false presupposition that Richard obtained his rifle illegally, and they wanted to get him for it. And that is wrong. That is wrong. You need to rescind that Article 15. And we're going to inch our way through the chapter. Through the chapter. inch by inch by inch. And then we're going to get into May, and then we're going to get into June. Why that chapter was taking so long, because of some kind of mythical contagion. I'm not saying people weren't getting sick. It probably was a parasite. It probably was a toxin, maybe a venom. Maybe it was a venom. It was a toxin. Look at some researches done with the wings. With the wings. You're going to be like, wow, when you do some research of the wings of those dragonflies. The wings of the dragonflies have little needles. I don't know if you know that. Look at the research, because they always tend, these white coats, to copy nature, to copy God. They like to copy God and say, oh, see, I'm God. And I know I sound so cynical this morning because I'm reading this stuff. And the cynicism is something I have to fight. I have to fight it. But it's so difficult. And I pray, God, have mercy on me and give me gentleness and give me understanding. And I have people in my ears that are very angry because their children, their volunteer sons and daughters, they themselves have had to suffer. Fingers in the wrong places. Fingers in the wrong places, y'all. No doing the duty. Duct tape. Tequila. Paper laced with LSD. Do not tell me that happened. Do not tell me, please. Those things could never happen. No. Don't tell me that Fort Hood happened. Please. That cannot happen. Our Army is full of integrity, honor, duty, selfless service. Find Richard. Come back to your senses, Army. Come back to the light. Come back to your duty. And the consequences of doing that. I was told today, you want me to go get that book? Will you hold on 1 minute while I get that book? Is anyone going to give me a thumbs up? I want to read that little quote from that book. Absolutely. You think I could go real quick? I'm going to go get that book real quick. And I didn't. I'll get it real quick. Hold on. What page was that? What was the name of that? 251? 251. It should have been page 288, but it's 251. I think so. Oh my gosh. I hope. 251. Rob told me. It was so good. It's not going to be there. I'm going to probably have to read it tonight. Because it was so good. It was about God being the general. And Rob read it, so yep. Aw. Yeah, sorry. And I don't want to keep you waiting. The Warrior's Thought. The Warrior's Thought. No, it's not that. Okay, I'm going to try to find it. Oh, well. Anyway, but it was so good. The last paragraph was so powerful that we were kind of screaming it out at the breakfast table this morning. It was just very short. And you would have thought that we were, I don't know. Esprit de corps. That's what it was this morning. It was like we had a guide-on message from God. And there was esprit de corps at the breakfast table. And then I started working out with my dad. He's about to leave. And he was doing wheelchair sit-ups. Okay? Wheelchair sit-ups. So I'm going to find what I read this morning. Well, what Rob read this morning. And I'll share it with you this evening. But maybe I'll take a picture and put it up. I'll take a picture and add it to the comments of this. So if anyone has any questions, I just have a few more minutes. And I just want to tell y'all, the silence is breaking. This weekend, have a, it's big Mother's Day. Big mommies. So daddies, be nice to mommies. Buy them something good, Buy them something good. We like diamonds. We like chocolate. We like gifts. I like diamonds. I got these opals Rob got me in El Paso. These are my El Paso earrings, we need to enjoy life. We need to enjoy life. And I'm going right now to a rehabilitation center where I get to see people smile. I get to see them smile and not look at each other like we're mythical, contagious beings, that we're human beings with families and history and a future. So I love you all. Thank you so much. And I really do love the Army. But they've gone astray. They've gone astray. Or they've been infected, not with some kind of pestilence or the pestilence from the devil, not some kind of mythical contagion, but by the real venom of evil, of a foreign ideology that is based in Darwinistic, racist, survival of the fittest, greed. Survival of the fittest is greed, y'all. It's not selfless service. And that vile, trashy, what is it called? Germ theory, where they took the word germ, germination, meaning growth, a very positive word, and they made it ugly. They made it ugly. That's why I hate that germ theory. And what did they do? They used it to create the ambulance down in the valley. And you know what? John Denver, who died a very untimely death, was warning us about the ambulance down in the valley. He warned us. And then he died a very untimely death. But he was on the side of the real general in heaven. And because of him, I know about the ambulance down in the valley. I know about it. And it's been going on for decades and decades and decades, probably a century, to stifle us and make a lot of money off of it. Stifle us and make a lot of money. Okay, y'all. And this is what happened to Richard. These false presuppositions. They need to rescind that Article 15. They need to find him. Operation People First. Esprit de corps. Esprit de corps. Duty to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. That's what we need. God bless you. Love you all. Bye-bye.